Dan Crenshaw has had enough of this. The Texas Republican congressman-elect had been wanting to see out of his 20 colleagues who are hell set against Kevin McCarthy just what they wanted. He put it far more colorfully than I just did. He's kind enough to join us now. Congressman-elect, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too. Thanks for having me.
Are you running out of patience with your colleagues?
Oh, we ran out of patience a long time ago, but this is what it is. This is democracy. It's messy. People disagree. But what I think voters and Americans want to see from their politicians when they disagree is disagreement in good faith. You should stand for something, right? If you're going to hold the line, you should stand for something. You should say, this is why I'm holding the line. But you know as well as I do that when you ask these 20 holdouts, what are you holding the line for? They give you very vague statements. They say, well, it's to make this place work better. We're tired of the swamp. We're tired of the status quo. It's like they're on the campaign trail just screaming slogans that their consultants told them to say. Meanwhile, they're fundraising off of this. Everybody's getting fundraising emails from these people. And let me say this to the American public right now. Do not donate to these fundraising campaigns. They don't need the money for this, okay? There's no reason that their campaign needs money, and it's actually just really immoral for them to be doing that. If you ask them what they want, they can't articulate it. A lot of what they've wanted, some of which has been in very good faith and has been negotiated and talked about and agreed upon. If you go up to a lot of them right now, they can't tell you. Some of them can. Some of them are indeed working in good faith, but a lot of them are not. And I think it's just for attention, and it's really disheartening. It doesn't mean progress is not getting made. These votes will continue. They'll adjourn. They'll go back to some talks. Obviously, you've seen some concessions come just last night, and that's good. That's progress in the right direction. But what's increasingly frustrating is some people have said, some of the holdouts have said, well, this is the one thing we want, and then they get it. And then they're like the dog that caught the bone. They don't know what to do. Well, I'm still against them. Why? Well, I don't know. It's about trust. Some vague idea of trust. And I said, you know what? If you came up here and thought that the currency of politics was trust, you're crazy. So they don't trust that the rules will be abided by. And I'm like, you don't even know how this place works. You can vote on the rules every single time. If people want to change the rules for a given bill, you can vote against it. You don't have to rely on trust. We have actually come together already and built a very good system that changes the way this place works, the way they claim they want to see it. But it's not enough. And so we're found wondering, what is it you actually want? What is the end game? There's one more thing. They keep changing who they vote for. It's not like they stuck to Jim Jordan, a very respected conservative leader. They didn't even stick to Jim Jordan. They just keep changing. And so they don't actually want anything. It should be very frustrating to the American people. People should realize there's no nobility in these actions. There's no end game. There's no good that comes of this. You're not showing anyone up. It's completely ridiculous at this point.
But Congressman-elect, do you get the feeling that this is bigger than the issues that they were demanding concessions from Kevin McCarthy? He went ahead and gave them the right for a speaker to be called or ousted by a mere one member, not 5 members. Yep. He went ahead and gave the members of the Freedom Caucus more power and clout on the Rules Committee, which sets legislation debate. So he did all of that, which makes me wonder if he did all of these things, were some of your more moderate colleagues concerned that he was caving and that they might abandon him?
There is a concern there. We're not at that point, but there are certainly red lines, especially when these guys start demanding that they get subcommittee chairmanships or other leadership positions. Those are hard red lines, all right? Because it's funny because they contradict themselves. On the one hand, they're concerned the speaker has too much power. On the other hand, they want the speaker to have all this power to give them personal favors. So which is it? Do you want this place to be a meritocracy, the way a conservative believes, or do you want this place to be the exact swamp that you claim to be your to be fighting? They contradict themselves constantly, and it's extremely frustrating.
This can't go on ad nauseum, right? I mean, what is the end game here? We're hearing talk that maybe began with Marcy Kaptur's comments yesterday from Ohio, the Democrat, that she crossed lines to deal with this. We raised that issue with California Democrat Ro Khanna, and he had his own demands. I want you to respond to this, sir. All right, you have to take my word. What he told me essentially was, I'm open to crossing party lines, but it won't be for Kevin McCarthy. So then the other argument was, well, maybe if a number of Democrats just voted present and lowered the overall number of those voting, that would be a means by which, Kevin McCarthy would have a majority of that limited pool of people. But there would have to be some concessions to the Democrats to get that, right?
The concessions would be enormous. That's a nightmare scenario. That is not a scenario I want. I want us to come together as Republicans. We can still be a team here. But that scenario you just outlined is very, very real. And there are Republicans who would do that. And we cannot let that happen.
So does it come back to, Congressman, I just wonder, you're closer to the situation than I'll be. You've been in those rooms. You've been very clear with these people how you feel. Several of them had talked to me about, it's a vibe that they don't like Kevin McCarthy. They don't really like the fact that he's using the Speaker's office in the interim, that he's arrogant, that they personally don't get along with him. Not all, I want to stress, but a good many, because to your point in these concessions that Mr. McCarthy has made, it's not enough. Maybe this comes back to a twist on that old phrase, Congressman. It's not business, quite the opposite, it's personal.
Yeah, and if that sounds petty to you, it should, because it sounds petty to me. Again, you don't come up here because you want to like everybody. You come up here for the business of the American people. Nobody else ran against Kevin McCarthy. Look, I would have a very different opinion on how this is going if one of them had been running for the last year, raising money, getting members elected, trying to win the majority, like openly running against Kevin McCarthy. But that's not what happened. They pull all this stuff out at the 11th hour. They keep picking different candidates that they're going to support. They don't have a plan. So I have very little respect for this idea that, oh, I don't like them. They keep changing their reasons. They get what they want, and then they come up with a different reason why they can't do it. You don't have to like somebody. It's not about the personality. It's about what's important to the American people. And the American people don't care about these squabbles, these petty differences here. What they care about is an open border. What they care about is their health care costs are too high. What they care about is that Biden is attacking our energy industry. They care about things that actually matter to them, and they want us to solve them. The first bill we were going to vote on, if this had gone smoothly, was defunding 87,000 IRS agents that the Democrats feel the need to empower to go after you and your taxes. We want to stop that, right? We want to fix our military. We want to focus on China. You called me member-elect. Why did you call me that? Because I'm not a member of Congress right now. I can't get classified briefings. I can't do my job. I can't do what we're supposed to do to fix the border. I can't tell you what's going on with the cartels and introduce legislation to combat the Mexican drug cartels that are killing tens of thousands of people a year with fentanyl. We can't do any of that because 20 people don't like Kevin McCarthy and think he's mean or think he lied to them once. They can't articulate what they want from him at this point. And this is an extreme disservice to the American people.
But is it possible, sir, that Kevin McCarthy botched it, that he's supposed to watch the numbers and the count? And you're right, he had 90% of the caucus going for him, the Republican route. But as you know, you need 218 votes. Just like when you run for president, you need 270 electoral votes. You don't win if you have 90% of that. So that maybe he was counting his chickens before they were hatched, and this is on him.
I'm just not sure what else he was supposed to do. I mean, in an election, politics is always messy.
Yeah.
Right? Tell me what he did wrong. I don't know. Was it giving Lauren Boebert $2 million to win her race? Right? Was it giving Bob Good millions to win his race because he's not good enough to do it himself? I mean, what is it?
Well, do you think it goes back to the whole January 6th thing and he was appalled at the way Donald Trump handled that at the time, and then those revelations came to light, and it gave some of these members, and maybe some of your own more moderate colleagues, a signal, we don't know where he stands on things. Maybe this is all being magnified now, Congressman-elect, I understand that, but something is coming back to haunt McCarthy because these numbers ain't budging. Does that mean then we need someone else who can get better numbers?
nobody's going to get better numbers. Like, and you guys were talking about this before I came on, which is why are we so staunchly opposed to anybody but Kevin? It's not because of some love for Kevin McCarthy. Now, he has put in the work. He's the only one who actually ran for the position. And that matters, right? That matters a lot to the institution. We're not defending McCarthy, we're defending the institution. And it's an institution of rules.
Well, Byron Donalds is running. Byron Donalds is running. And you don't think he's a credible candidate?
He started 5 minutes ago. And no, he's not a credible candidate. He's a freshman who started 5 minutes ago. That's not running. He didn't raise hundreds of millions of dollars to win the Republican majority in multiple election cycles. No. That's not a credible candidate.
But is there, are you or anyone, I know in your mind, Mike, you're still with Kevin McCarthy, you're still very loyal in that regard, but eventually the more this keeps happening, you begin to wonder, what is an alternative here? I'm just wondering,
no alternative.
We keep repeating this, right?
But it's not loyalty to the man, it's loyalty to the rule of law that we abide by here. If you always set this precedent where a mere 20 people can just destroy the conference of over 200, then you're setting a terrible precedent, and they'll just keep taking scalps. We've seen it over and over again.
But
it
is what it is, right?
That's
I mean,
what this
you're
is
right.
about.
The 20 still exists, right?
Hold on. I would agree with you if Byron was getting more votes, but he's not getting more votes. And in fact, they've just switched their votes. Like in this one, they're voting for different people. These people are all over the place. They don't have a consensus candidate. So it's inaccurate to say that McCarthy is losing the momentum here. It's completely the opposite.
Well, he's not advancing. So I'm wondering, when you guys have meetings, and maybe among some of your other colleagues, you talk about, all right, we want Kevin, we think he deserves it, he's raised a lot of money, he's done a lot of good, but it's just not happening. Are you at the stage, or any of your colleagues at the stage, where you are looking for either candidates inside or outside to finish this?
No, it'll be a long time before that happens. Like we will wait this out. We are far more stubborn than the other side is, and here's why. We are standing for principle. We are standing for the sanctity of the institution that we serve in, the sanctity of the rules that we said we would abide by. You know, look, and let me put it this way for people listening. You have a primary election. Somebody wins in that primary election. Maybe it wasn't your candidate. Do you just go supporting Democrats in the general election? No, of course not. There is no other way to interpret this. That is exactly what's happening. This only enables Democrats. Democrats keep celebrating. They keep tweeting out how destroyed the Republican Party is. They're so happy, and they're not even in the majority. That should really tell us something here. And again, to what end? To what end? You can't let this precedent continue where because let's say it's Scalise, let's say it's Tom Emmer, they'll just keep coming. There will be it's not about McCarthy. It's just about whoever's in charge that they want to label as these so-called establishment.
But it's also about getting to 200.
Buzzword.
It's also about getting to 218. Can you see anyone anytime soon getting there?
No, we're sticking with McCarthy. He will get there. Look, again, there's good faith deals happening with some of these 20. Okay. And I will give some of them credit for that. There is progress being made. There is potential end in sight. But some of these people got in way over their head. I won't name names, right? I don't want to call them out. But they got in way over their head and they're looking for off-ramps. Let's give them those off-ramps. And let's not punish them after. Right? Let's put them on committees that they can be productive members. There is still time for that. There's not talk of retribution. There's not talk of punishment. We do want to get through this. There's still room for that. And so we can stick with McCarthy forever. But we're going to make that happen because we also want to help these members be productive and do the things their constituents actually care about, which is fight for those list of items. Better energy policy, better border policy, better policy against China. I mean, the list goes on. Can't do those things until we're actually members and we're actually seated on committees and united. When the Republican Party is united, it becomes very, very powerful. The rule changes that these people have asked for to be changed, they're decent rule changes. They're perfectly fine. We're all perfectly happy with them. So let's unite, use those rules, and beat the Democrats.
Congressman-elect Crenshaw, I hope pretty soon we can stop saying the elect part, but it's very good seeing you again. Thank you again.
It's just a word salad, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks.
I think one too many hyphens there.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.